It brings me with great displeasure to let everyone know here on the channel that we lost one of our favorite cars, but not in the way that you might think. The unthinkable has happened. Let me bring it around. Now you might be wondering, what's wrong with this car? There's no physical damage, just emotional and internal damage. Todd, pop the hood. Sounds terrible. Let me explain what happened. So a guest had our vehicle for about 2 weeks. We had just done a fresh oil change right before this, and this guest was driving a lot of miles. She was actually 3,183 miles into her allotted 3,200 mile allowance. And our vehicle technically still has another 1,500 miles to go on the oil change. 30, 40, yeah, about 1,500. And we change these engine oils every 5,000 miles, so technically we still have 2,000 miles left on this current oil change. The guest contacted us and said, hey, there's some issues with the vehicle. She happened to be conveniently exiting for her exit at her hotel, and the vehicle started making a terrible noise, so she coasted into the parking lot. And then a mobile mechanic nearby heard the vehicle pulling in, came over just to help as a good Samaritan, and found there was no engine oil in this vehicle at all. So we had the vehicle towed back to us. I checked the dipstick, and sure enough, there's no engine oil in the vehicle. And as you can see on this engine oil pan and filter, there's no areas down here indicating that this vehicle was leaking engine oil. Which means within 3,000 miles, this vehicle somehow consumed over 3 quarts of oil, which is kind of nuts, given that this vehicle didn't have any oil consumption issues prior to this rental. But 3 quarts of oil over the course of 2 weeks is ridiculous. She did do a lot of driving, but 3,000 miles and it's missing a lot of oil, that's crazy. Now looking back at our tracker data log, we did see that this vehicle did have a check engine light come on, indicating low oil pressure, as well as some timing codes saying that some of the solenoids were not getting enough oil. That was around 6 o'clock in the afternoon that she started getting some of these additional codes, which means that the oil light must have come on way before that, and she coasted into her hotel parking lot after driving non-stop from 6 o'clock right up until 10:30, which is when we got the call that this car was having some issues. Now this guest is saying that she immediately pulled over whenever she heard a noise, but whenever you hear a noise after low on oil, it's typically too late. So when the vehicle was towed back, I checked the oil and I put a quart in, nothing. Then I put another quart in, still nothing on the dipstick. Then I put a 3rd quart in, and it finally brought it up to full. It was 3 quarts low. It only takes 3.8 quarts total, and this is what it sounds like.
This is like ASMR.
As you can hear, knock-knock jokes are only funny when your engine isn't telling them. So what does this mean? Well, long story short, without removing any pieces of the engine, we can conclude that, man, it is smoking. We can conclude that the lower main bearing on the engine crankshaft has spun. It's supposed to stay in one position, and now it's moved, and it's probably spinning around whenever we rev the vehicle, making the rods slap around on the block. If we were to tear this thing down and remove the engine oil pan, we'd surely find a bunch of bearing material, which is now probably cycling all through the engine and making our oil nice and glittery, which is a major no-no. Unfortunately, this means that this car is done for now. This car has 263,000 miles. She's tired. With 263,000 miles, what do you do with a Yaris with a bad engine? Well, we could sell this car for what? 500 bucks?
For scrap metal value?
For scrap metal? Some people would say stick a fork in it, it's done. But we have bigger and better plans for this little old Yaris. We can't reveal too much, But it involves getting that engine fixed first and foremost, because this car is not truthfully worth anything. We did try to do a mechanical claim through Turo, and unfortunately, Turo bounced it back and said it's not the renter's fault, despite the renter driving this car with an oil light on and a check engine light on. So let's go over the numbers of how much this 2007 Toyota Yaris made while it was on Turo. We purchased this vehicle in 2019 of October from a couple of sketchy guys in an apartment complex where they proceeded to make us all the documentation inside their home at like 10 o'clock at night. We paid out the door $3,000 for this Toyota Yaris, and over its time on Turo, this car made us $40,285 on Turo. Now she's still a little rough around the edges. She needs some improvements for what we're gonna use it for, but that is a whole nother story for another video. As always guys, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next episode.